Islamabad to Pakistan for his first ever visit to Pakistan. I'm happy to see him here because we've had some useful conversations on the situation, the unfolding situation in Afghanistan. I've spoken to him over the telephone 3 times, and we had a very good discussion in New York. So today we dwelled further on what we had discussed in New York, and I shared with him our assessment of the situation in Afghanistan, and I also shared with him my interaction with Mr. Borrell, the High Representative of the European Union, on how EU can engage with Afghanistan and how can we collectively agree on a way forward. We also availed this opportunity to review our bilateral relations, and I'm happy to share with you that they are on an upward trajectory. There's a lot that can be done, and we have discussed how we should put in that extra effort to improve our bilateral trade and promote and attract more investments into Pakistan. I shared with the Foreign Minister and gave him our preference that these are the 3 areas where we feel that we can benefit from Danish help. For example, renewable energy, and we have welcomed some of the initiatives announced. For example, the Green Partnership Agreement signed between Denmark and Pakistan will give us opportunities of greater cooperation in renewable energy. The fact that that both sides have agreed towards, and Denmark has included Pakistan in the Danish energy transition initiative. This will help us promote our capacity building within the Ministry of Energy and how we can move ahead in this direction. We also discussed the advantages of enhanced parliamentary interaction and the need to promote it. I asked the Foreign Minister to look at the visa categorization that we have been put into and have a fresh look at the travel advisory that we have between our 2 countries. I thanked him for the support we've received on GSP Plus status from Denmark, and I'm looking forward to his continued support in the days ahead. I also shared with him the concrete steps Pakistan has taken in FATF, which are concrete, comprehensive, verifiable, and how Denmark should play its role in helping Pakistan out of the grey list. So I will conclude by thanking you once again for your visit to Pakistan, and hopefully collectively we will work together to build a better bilateral relationship and to see that our region is peaceful and stable. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Foreign Minister Qureshi, for receiving me so kindly here in Islamabad. My first visit as Foreign Minister, and I believe almost first visit in 10 years from a Danish Foreign Minister to Pakistan. We had many virtual conversations, phone conversations, 3 times during August, and I'm really pleased that we can meet face to face and have I think a very productive, a very comprehensive discussion. We had a good and open discussion, and it was something that I really appreciate. We do not necessarily agree on everything, but we have many shared interests that we also had time to discuss and find solutions to. Listen, I once again want to convey my deepest gratitude to Pakistan for assisting with the Danish evacuation effort with rapid, efficient and also substantial support, also in the airport, of course, in Islamabad. It was only hours after I spoke with Foreign Minister Qureshi, we were granted permission to use the airport facilities. Thank you, Minister, for that. This arrangement has been crucial in our evacuation and became a model for a number of countries to follow. We also had the opportunity yesterday to thank the staff in the airport that assisted Danish authorities and staff there during the evacuation effort. We have evacuated more than 1,000 people out of Kabul, our own nationals, people who work for us, and vulnerable Afghans and their families. We also discussed, and I appreciate that, the situation in Afghanistan in detail. We are, of course, deeply worried that Afghanistan become a safe haven for terrorist groups. The people of Pakistan knows the horrors of terrorism better than anyone else. Thousands in this country have died, and Pakistan is a very important country in the region. So we had a frank and good discussion on how to deal with the new Taliban regime, how it can become the government in Afghanistan become more representative, inclusive, also respecting fundamental human rights, including the rights for all, including women and minorities, and also ensuring girls can go to school again. Things like that was very important. Listen, we have a strong and long bilateral relationship, Pakistan and Denmark. For the past 70 years we had diplomatic ties. We now plan to strengthen them further in areas such as climate change, energy, green transition, but also sustainable trade and commercial ties. There's a huge potential here. We have seen some growing trade relations, and it's an upward curve, but we can do even more. And I want to commend the energy transformation and also the climate efforts that the Pakistani government is doing. I was very pleased to plant a tree with His Excellency before our meeting started. On renewable energy, there is a lot to do. We can work together, and I have also decided that we want to boost our embassy here in Islamabad so we can have even more manpower for this type of cooperation. I'm also happy that we discussed this green framework today that we can have together. So listen, I want to say I know how important Pakistan is to the stability and security of the region, to the stability and security in Afghanistan, and that we need to work together because despite the situation in August in Afghanistan, we all have a keen interest in finding a way forward. We will not turn our back to the situation in Afghanistan. We will still stand up to fight that Afghanistan again becomes an international safe haven for terrorist groups, that the basic rights of the people that lives in Afghanistan, the population, is respected, and that we will create stability and security in the whole region. So thank you so much for receiving me so kindly. It's really good to be here in Pakistan as a foreign minister.
Thank you very much. I understand we have time for maybe one or two questions. Can I have a question from the back? And please introduce yourself.
Thank you, sir. Shaukat Pracha from Archer Vision. My question to Excellency Shah Mahmood Qureshi Sahab is, you both discussed Afghanistan. There is a bill proposed in the US Senate. Pakistan was good till Pakistan cooperated in facilitation of Doha Agreement. And Pakistan was good till the brave and historic surrender of Afghan military and then Taliban takeover. Now, spokesman has given a diplomatic reply to this proposed bill, but how you feel the consequence, the political consequence of the proposed bill in the US Senate? And my question to Honorable Visiting Excellency is, thank you for your sustained cooperation in development sector in Pakistan, including the energy transition initiative. You talked about Afghanistan, and you are rightly worried about the future. So why not then your great country, the European Union, they ensure their engagement, including recognition of the government, while taking note of the ground realities over there? Thank you.
Sir, responding to your question directed to me on the proposed US bill. Obviously, we cannot overlook the implications it can have for Pakistan. We are cognizant, and we will do everything possible to explain what the correct position is. We also understand that as the bill stands right now, it does not have bipartisan understanding over it. It is a bill presented by a group of Republican senators who have had a view on how the government of United States should have responded to the situation in Afghanistan. They are critical of some of their own policies. They are people who were against US withdrawal and are of the view that the immediate withdrawal should not have taken place. They have a right to their views. Pakistan believes in engagement, communication, and obviously defending our interests. We will protect Pakistan's interest. We will defend our position because we have a lot to share with the US Congress. They have to understand the positive role Pakistan has played in fighting terrorism. They have to understand the positive role played by Pakistan in facilitating the peace process. They have to understand what were the causes behind the debacle in Afghanistan. And scapegoating Pakistan would be overlooking ground realities. And they have to understand that a partnership with Pakistan is required in the future as well to achieve stability in Afghanistan and the region. So let us not be excessively obsessed with the bill. It's an attempt, and let's not forget there are lobbies in the United States, and there are neighbors in our region who would like to play up this bill. To me, it is an attempt to pass the buck, and Pakistan has sufficient reasons to defend its course.
Thank you for your question. Listen, we are not going to recognize a Taliban government. What we see now in Afghanistan is a very serious situation, and we are very worried about the situation in Afghanistan. I mentioned very clearly if Afghanistan developed into a feeding ground, a safe haven for international terrorist groups is something that will affect all of us, and we should avoid that. But also the fundamental and basic rights of the Afghan people, the 38 million people that have lived through 4 decades of war, helping them is paramount for Denmark, ensuring their fundamental rights of women and girls. We have just this year in 2021 allocated $80 million for humanitarian help and relief to the people of Afghanistan, and we will continue to engage to ensure that that is our position. We will judge any government in Kabul not on the words but on what they whether they respect people's rights or not, whether they are willing to ensure that terrorist groups doesn't found ground again, whether they would act as responsible partner to the international community with the obligations that implies. That is our position. Thank you.
Maybe we can
Thank you, Yes, this is Mateen Haider from GTV. Foreign Minister of the United States has said that Pakistani airspace will be used to carry out drone strikes against Al-Qaeda targets in Afghanistan. Do you think still active and operative and they have their bases in Afghanistan? And if any such decision is made by the US, has Pakistan been consulted? Will Pakistan cooperate in any such move? And question to guest foreign minister, you have expressed serious concerns about human rights and minorities and women issues in Afghanistan. Pakistan has recently prepared relations in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Entire European of human rights. So how would you see these gross human rights violations and continuous lockdown in Indian occupied Kashmir for the last 2 years? Would you take up this issue at any level with India, because it's a serious human rights issue? Thank you.
On the question of support to the United States, I believe there was a discussion in which there was mention of the usefulness of the air corridor provided by Pakistan in the past, and I believe it was mentioned that we are in talks with Pakistan on the continuation or cooperation in the days ahead. Obviously, that's a decision that will be taken by the cabinet after due deliberation. Looking at all the pros and cons, Pakistan will decide what is in the interest of Pakistan's security, national security, regional stability. Pakistan will take a decision accordingly.
Well, thank you for your question. We are fully in line with European Union and also UN to advocate for peaceful diplomatic dialogue on the issues of Kashmir and Jammu. This is what we want to see, and this is what we respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
शाह महमूद कुरैशी की डेनमार्क के वज़ीर ख़ारिजा की हमरा इस्लामाबाद में न्यूज़ कॉन्फ्रेंस। इस मौके पर पाकिस्तान के वज़ीर ख़ारिजा शाह महमूद कुरैशी का कहना था कि डेनमार्क के वज़ीर ख़ारिजा को पाकिस्तान तशरीफ़ आवरी पर खुशामदीद कहते हैं। डेनमार्क से दो तरफ़ा ताल्लुक़ात को मज़ीद वुस्त देना चाहते हैं।